ultimately, does a series of decisions that he has guided through the court by 5-4 majorities mean for law and politics in this country?
The court is a subject to presidential and Senate prerogative, and there is always going to be turnover. But if Roberts can keep mustering his majority, it's going to mean it's harder to sue for basically any kind of damages. And a classic example of that is in the environmental movement, where environmentalists in the last completed Supreme Court term lost every single case that was before the justices. You know, the corporate cases get less publicity, except Citizens United, than the abortion cases or the free speech cases. But it is extraordinary how often corporations are winning in this court. Any trust enforcement is being very much limited by this court. The regulatory power of the state is being limited by this court. So, you know, if you look at what the agenda is of the contemporary Republican Party, it matches completely what the Roberts agenda is at the Supreme Court.
This doesn't surprise you, does it? Because in his private practice, Mr. Roberts mostly defended corporations against individuals who had sued them. So it's not surprising that he would turn out to be a good friend on the court of corporate America.
No, you know, I guess, you know, when I was covering his appointment, one of the peculiar things about Supreme Court appointments is you don't really know a lot about what people believe, because he hadn't been a judge for all that long. But everyone who knew Roberts well said to me, just wait. Just wait and see how conservative this guy is.
Are we naive to expect that the playing field should be more even than it will be when corporations have First Amendment rights to spend as much money as they want to on either a judicial or a political election?
Well, that goes for all elections and not just judicial elections. And it's only worse in judicial politics because those races don't get a lot of attention. You know, when in a U.S. Senate race, a lot of people sort of know where the money's coming from, and the news media covers it. The news media doesn't even cover these judicial elections very much, so all people see are these horribly distorted campaign ads, and mostly the effective attack ads. And you know, one of the things Congress is thinking about doing to try to salvage something out of Citizens United is at least require identification of the sources of the money for ads.
Disclosure of the people who are paying.
Right. We're all now familiar with the "I'm John McCain and I approve this" message. If you have a system that says I'm Lloyd Blankfein and I'm the CEO of Goldman Sachs and I approve this message, maybe that would have some restraining effect on Citizens United.
But they can still put their money, if they don't want to do it explicitly or directly, they can put their money into the Chamber of Commerce, whose spending has been going up and up and up, and they don't identify the sources.
The sources. And Congress is aware of this problem. I don't know if they can address it, but the issue of straw men and straw sources and covering up where the money comes from, they're aware of it. They're trying to address it. We'll see if they make any progress.
Do you think a bad situation is going to get terribly worse?
I do, and I think it will be beneath the radar, which is too bad, because these judicial elections are so bad, but not a lot of people pay attention to them. Interestingly, one person who is trying to draw a lot of attention to judicial elections is Sandra Day O'Connor in retirement, who has generally stayed away from criticizing the court, but was outraged at the Citizens United opinion for just this reason, because she knows she has seen what this does to the judicial process, the money.
Because she was in politics in Arizona before she went to the court.
Right, and Arizona actually has a pretty good system for merit selection of judges rather than elections. And conservatives in Arizona are trying to get rid of that system and make it a much more political system.
Do you think that her idea of merit selection for judges, that somehow the governors of the state, with the help of disinterested parties, would pick a group of candidates for the state Supreme Court? Do you think merit selection is viable?
Yeah, and it works well in a lot of states. It's the Missouri plan. Missouri has had it, although it's under challenge there. Nothing's perfect. But when you have bipartisan groups of people, screenings, or even governors alone picking judges, it almost invariably produces a better, fairer, more qualified, less partisan judiciary than when voters do it.
But governors are political figures. It doesn't take politics out of the process, does it?
And nor should it. And the politics is not out of the appointment of federal judges. But there is a tradition of excellence among federal judicial appointees, and I think that's true of Democratic and Republican nominees alike. There's a tradition of eminence in the community that is required before you get that nomination. And I think in states where governors pick, look, nothing is perfect. But by and large, it's a better system than elected judges.
Jeffrey Toobin, thank you for being with me on The Journal.
Great to be with you, Bill.